Hello and welcome to Weird Around Illinois. We've told you many times about the various weirdness that affects the Great Lakes, particularly Great Lake Michigan. And we've been questioned on it sometimes, and we've been a little vague about it sometimes, so I thought it might be cool to give you a real ship disappearance / ghost story from Lake Michigan, so that we can kind of put our money where our mouth is on that one. So let's talk about it, and let's get weird. Today we're going to be talking about Le Griffon, which is what many consider to be the greatest lost ship mystery of Lake Michigan. And some people have errantly claimed that it was the first ship lost in Lake Michigan, but it was not. It was actually the second ship lost in the Great Lakes. The first one also belonging to the same guy, LaSalle, who we'll talk about in a bit. But the Le Griffon is considered to be kind of the holy grail of treasure hunters, and there are still people looking for it to this day. So let's talk a little bit about the history behind this great ship. We'll start with the man, René Robert Cavalier Sieur de La Salle. Now, I have to admit, the whole reason we're doing this podcast is I wanted to say that name.
All right.
And only in Chicago can you take that name and change it into LaSalle Street. But I digress. He was commissioned with basically finding a path to the Mississippi River and presumably to the Pacific Ocean eventually. But he was trying to make his way through the upper Great Lakes, and he ran into this problem. The problem was Niagara Falls. And if you've ever been to Niagara Falls or seen Niagara Falls on TV, you realize this is not the kind of thing you're going to get past in a canoe. So he takes his crew, his team, he climbs up to the top of the falls and decides they are going to start the aquatic portion of their mission from the top of the falls rather than from the bottom, which makes a lot of sense. But he also decides that with features like this in his way, he's going to need a lot more than a canoe or the little ships that he has. He is going to need a big European-style vessel. So he commences to building one. In the year 1678, he goes out into the forest, creates a settlement, starts chopping down trees to build what will become a 45-ton vessel called Le Griffon, which the Griffon is apparently part of his family crest. So that's why it was called Le Griffon. And they allegedly had a griffin carved into the bow of it and everything. It looked like it would have been a beautiful ship. But as I said, they're cutting down all these trees. And what I didn't mention is that this little place they decided to settle happened to be right in the middle of Iroquois territory. And the Native American tribe, the Iroquois, are looking at this and they're thinking, why are you chopping down our trees? And what are you doing? And who the heck are you anyway? And so they're not real happy about this, and tensions are pretty high between the Native Americans and LaSalle's team. Things got escalated, and there weren't any like killings or anything that I'm aware of, but there was certainly a fear of it. LaSalle's men were sleeping at night with one hand on their muskets or on their swords, getting ready to go to combat if necessary if the Indians showed up overnight and charged the camp. All this led to the rumor that an Indian medicine man, basically, or shaman, had cursed the ship that they were building. And this rumor became even stronger when they got into the winter of 1678 into 1679, and the cold started warping the boards, so that as they were constructing the ship, they had to deconstruct parts of it and replace parts of the lumber. So as things got worse and worse, and the conditions in the winter, which many of these men had probably not experienced a Midwestern winter before, which I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. So I can imagine why they're sitting there saying, they cursed us.
Yeah.
But they tough through it, and eventually they complete the boat in the spring, and they outfitted it with 7 cannons. And it turned out that solved, or appeared to solve, their problem with the Iroquois, Because when they fired those cannons, it sent them into an absolute terror. They had never seen or heard anything like it before. They'd never seen a ship like this. The biggest boat they'd seen had been a canoe until LaSalle arrived with one of his smaller ships. And this was just a massive vessel with these 7 thundering cannons on it. So that alleviated the fear that they had of being attacked in the night anyway. So it made its maiden voyage in 1679 to Green Bay with a full crew of 32 on board, and it was successful. Now I should explain the reason behind this voyage. I told you LaSalle was actually trying to get to the Mississippi River, so you might be asking yourself, why is he going to Green Bay? Well, he realizes he needs more equipment, and preferably another ship, to make it all the way to the Mississippi River. So he is engaged in the fur trade to try to make money to do the projects that he wants to do to get to the Mississippi River. So the idea is that they trap the beavers. They bring the furs to Green Bay, they exchange it for money, or gold in this case, bring the gold back, buy more supplies, build another ship, and get on with their mission. So, stage 1 completed successfully. They make it to Green Bay in August of 1679. That's where it started to go bad.
Yeah. So after that, they're basically heading back east, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time they got back to the east, it completely disappeared, the whole boat.
Yeah, but when they sent it back east, LaSalle did this weird thing where he decided he was going to scout ahead to try to find the Mississippi River or a route to it.
Yeah.
And he sent the ship back with like 6 guys on it rather than the full crew of 32. He's like, okay, I'll take these canoes and take most of your crew, and you take those 6 guys and bring back all the gold.
Yeah, there's several reasons why this ship, with only the few people left, just disappeared. One theory is that a storm just basically like smashed through it. Terrible storm.
We get them.
Yeah. And another theory is that the sailors possibly like stole furs from it and maybe like sank the ship on purpose and just left it basically.
That's a possibility too.
Yeah.
Again, when you're carrying something that valuable, and I think you're right. I think it was actually the furs on the ship, not the gold. I think the idea was that they were obtaining the furs in Green Bay and then bringing them back and trading them for the gold, which they would buy the supplies with.
Yeah.
But when you're carrying something that valuable and there's only 6 guys and nobody looking over their shoulder, I mean, what's stopping them?
Yeah, there's plenty of room for deception there.
And of course, this one's possible. I'm not sure how likely it would be. The boat was possibly attacked by the tribal groups or mad at LaSalle.
Mm-hmm.
Where that would have happened, though, I'm not sure.
I think there were a few narrow passages where it could have happened, but again, they were terrified of this ship. I would really be surprised if they could muster, an army basically to attack this thing with those 7 cannons.
Yeah, I don't think they would have had the tools for something like that.
No, unless they just tried to take it in the middle of the night or something, just snuck up beside it with canoes and snuck on board and tried to take out the crew while they were sleeping or something.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Well, no matter how that happened, Griffon definitely went missing for many, many years. And since, I guess, 1979,
1679.
I'm sorry, yeah, 1679, it's been missing. So that's just about 300 years, which is a really long. And, today, it's been very divided on people's beliefs on if the ship was found, if people have even gotten close to finding it. I mean, there have been many interesting claims, of which I'm going to get into, where people claim to have been inches away from the Griffon. We'll get into basically the first documented small expedition of somebody trying to find where this went. And the first one, which did not go very well, was led by Henry de Tontai. I don't know. But anyway, in 1689, he went out around Lake Michigan just in search of where this ship could have gone. He was not successful. Nothing really came up from this, but once more, this is the first documented one. I had to mention it. So from there, I'm sure there are many others throughout time of small expeditions, but not until 2006, around that time, early 2000s, a couple, Steve and Kathy Libert, just since they were together, decided to just study and determine where the ship went. So, that they actually like diving quite a bit, and they did that a lot in many different areas, did a ton of research. It sounded really remarkable on what they were capable of doing. And eventually, by 2013, they did find a wreckage that had some pieces of evidence that it could have been the Griffon. And the reason why they claim that is because they found sort of an artifact from like one big piece. Obviously, there's a lot of regulations that come with diving and picking up artifacts that could be historical. So before they did anything, when they saw this big piece, they went to the state officials, asked for a permit, and they did get a permit to pick up something. So they did that. They went diving really into this one place, and they brought up what they believe to be the front-mounted spar bowsprit. It's, I believe somewhere on the front of the ship. Anyway, they found that apparently they had high relation to what was on that ship, and they, it's like they turned their heads to the Michigan state officials, continue with this investigation, get further information on it, and they were denied basically.
That one always struck me as odd.
Yeah,
because not only did they deny it, but they looked at this big board, basically like a huge beam.
Yeah,
and they said, "Oh no, that's not even from a boat. That's something that you use for fishing."
Yeah, didn't they say they? I was just reading about that, like something connected to like a fish net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw pictures of it, and I know a little bit about fishing. I mean, I'm not a net expert or anything, but that looked to me a heck of a lot more like a bowsprit from a boat than it looked like a fishing net, anchor or support rod or whatever you want to call it. I don't get it.
Yeah. All right. Regardless, state officials were not having it there. From there, I mean, the Liberts just kind of, obviously due to age, they weren't able to do as much as they could have before. They started to lay off the in-person expeditions a little bit. But they did write a book. Apparently it's a 160-page book about their findings, and completely publicized that. It's going down in history. But to this date, nobody really knows if that was really the ship or if it was not, because they got rights to go any farther with it.
It's also worthy of note that there are hundreds of sunken ships in the Great Lakes.
1,500, according to one article I was reading.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And they've all been found. I mean, there are very few that they haven't been able to find and identify. That's kind of what makes this one special, and a little odd that they couldn't find it. I mean, I read one article where somebody was saying that, oh, what happened was this thing, it sunk hard and split, and the different wood pieces got washed away by the storms and split to, all different areas and basically disintegrated. And my question is, why didn't that happen to the other 1,500 ships then?
I don't know. There was one more story, very small one, that I found interesting. The Liberts were, they were looking for something, but they weren't looking for treasure necessarily. These two that I was just reading about, Frederick Monroe and Kevin Eastra, were definitely looking for some kind of treasure from, not exactly the Griffon, but they were looking for something in Lake Michigan. And from 2011 to 3 years later, 2014, they apparently came across what they claimed was the ship, but it was a different location, so I don't know. They claimed it was. They announced it very publicly, but once more, that was never verified in any way, shape, or form. Just threw it out there like, oh, we think... Actually, no, they did have a little bit of detail. They saw something on the shipwreck's bow, which might have been the ship's figurehead, and something about that was leading them to believe it was this ship.
Mm-hmm.
But
It might have been the Griffon. They might have seen a Griffon carved into the bow or something.
oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not alone. There were hundreds of claims. If you go back far enough into newspapers and such, you'll find that every few years there's somebody who claims they found Le Griffon, and usually they're disproven, but they get a book out of it, or they get a story out of it, or whatever. There was even one from, I think, hundreds of years ago, where they found the bodies of 6 people in a cave near Lake Michigan, and one of them had like a silvered watch, and they were carrying French currency, and so they were convinced those were the 6 guys, but not sure what that meant.
I was gonna mention that, like, they found it, like, bodies in a cave, and there's the exact amount of people that were on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So
That was interesting. I don't know how they could have gone there, or what the context was behind that, but that's a little bit creepy.
Yeah, definitely. But it gets even more convoluted than that, because for basically the last 350-ish years since this happened, there are sightings of a boat matching the description of Le Griffon sailing in and out of the fog on Lake Michigan. There have been numerous sightings of it, and it's always the same thing. It's always it pops in and then pops out. And supposedly the curse that was put on it was that it would be sent to I forgot the Native American term for it, but it's almost like purgatory. It's like in between our realm and the next, so that theoretically this ship never fully exists or doesn't exist. It just kind of pops in and out of existence through some sort of constant portal, which would explain the sightings.
Yeah.
Another oddity associated with this ship, there are a few people who theorize that maybe it made it further than people thought. Maybe it actually got out of Lake Michigan, made it into Lake Erie, and then ran into a weird phenomenon in Lake Erie, which in modern times people have associated with a possible underwater alien base. There are all kinds of strange lights and strange sounds and everything else, and people have pretty much settled on the fact that there's a huge alien base under Lake Erie. But
That's understandable.
yeah, it's
That's where the Kraken is right now.
probably, yeah, and so this may have been one of the first ships to ever be abducted by aliens.
Yeah.
But those are just a couple of the kind of wild theories that are out there about it. But what do you guys think? Do you think that somebody's actually already found this thing, or do you think somebody ever will find it, or is it really disintegrated, or in another dimension or something?
I think it might be both. I think people have seen this boat from a different dimension, maybe it was like popping into our dimension, and I think people have also seen like the remains, because those are possibly there too. So
you mean it simultaneously exists and doesn't exist? It's like it's like the image of it is still alive in some other dimension and pops back through, but the part of it that's in this dimension is lost and under the sea somewhere.
Yeah, my theory anyway.
Okay.
Well, mine is much more narrow-minded in comparison to that, because I don't know, I feel like the Liberts had something really going there, and I'm a little bit confused on why the state government was holding back on that. That's why I kind of have a little bit of hope in that.
See, that's my problem. I'm all set to settle on the logical explanation of this, which is the Liberts found the ship. But if it's that simple, why is the government intervening, and what's the secret? What's hidden down there that they don't want you to see?
Yeah.
Is there some weird portal thing taking place on that ship? Is there some weird alien thing taking place on that ship? Why would the government suddenly say, no, you've seen nothing, go away?
Yeah, the suspicion of that is leading me to believe that could be it.
Yeah, it's definitely strange.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the ultimate conclusion I have from this is, take that, all you people who said nothing weird ever happens in Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
And on that happy note, we thank you for listening, and thank you for subscribing, and we'll talk to you again soon.